Thank you very much for waiting. We will now begin session 8, Environment④, Protecting the Natural Environment. Our moderator will be Professor Yukari Takamura, Professor, Institute for Future Initiatives, the University of Tokyo. The speakers are Deputy Chairman of Hanoi People's Committee, Mr. Dong Trong-Nyong. Deputy Mayor in charge of Environment and Ecological Transition of Montreal, Ms. Marie-Andrée Mager. Governor of the Northern Mariana Islands, Mr. Arnold Palacios, and General Manager of Rome, Mr. Paolo Aielli. Professor Takamura, please.
So thank you. This is, I understand, the last session, last panel of today. So the session's topic is the protecting the nature environment. So I'm Ikari Takamura. This time, serving as a moderator of this session. It's my really great pleasure and honor. And I'm also currently serve as president of the Environment Council of the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. I, on my behalf, very much welcome the all four panels. So, nature protection, how to protect the nature environment. If we look at the most recent science, indicate that the human activity is maybe the largest contributor to the loss of biodiversity or degradation of ecosystem. Of course, not forget the impact of climate change on the environment. So how the cities could tackle this problem, and also how city contribute to the promoting the nature positive, which was the, as you know, that agreed in 2022, and under the Kunming motto, the strategy program toward 2030. So today we have four wonderful, excellent panelists from the world. So as maybe you are already familiar with, the session will start the panelist presentation on each city's initiative, and then I'd like to pose a couple of questions and this panel round, and to maybe inform the more detail of the initiative by posing the question to each panelist. So I like to ask the all panelists and each panelist to make a presentation within 5 minutes. It's very short, but with that we could start the presentation by panelists. First presentation is that by the as you know, that the Deputy Chairman of Hanoi People Committee, Mr. Gwen. So, Mr. Gwen, could you please start your presentation? Okay.
Kính thưa các quý vị đại biểu, các vị khách quý đại diện cho thành phố Hà Nội, tôi rất vinh dự được tham luận và chia sẻ cùng các thành phố trên thế giới trong phiên môi trường ngày hôm nay về chủ đề kế hoạch quản lý chất lượng không khí của Hà Nội.
Dear delegates and distinguished guests, on behalf of Hanoi, I am honored to discuss and share with delegates from cities around the world the topic of Hanoi Air Quality Management Plan. Along with the process of urbanization, environment pollution and climate change have affected people's quality of life and sustainable development in Hanoi City.
Chiếm khoảng 4%, toàn địa bàn thành phố có 17.
According to statistics, the numbers of residents living in Hanoi has reached almost 9 million people, of which the urban population accounts for over 40%. The entire city has 17 industrial parks, approximately 1,300 crab villages, more than 7 million motorbikes, and more than 600,000 cars, which leads to the daily consumption of roughly 80 million kilowatt-hour of electricity and millions of liters of gasoline. All of this, along with the spontaneous burning of agricultural byproducts and waste that takes place regularly in the city, has become the sources of greenhouse gas emissions that cause environment and air pollution. The Hanoi People's Committee has implemented many solutions to limit sources of air pollutants. Typically, more than 99% of honeycomb charcoal stoves have been eliminated. Straw burning in the suburbs has been reduced by 80%. Hundreds of brick kilns eliminated, and daily waste collection and transportation reach over 90% all over the city. All levels and sectors strengthen inspection and handling of production facilities that cause environmental pollution, as well as construction sites that harm the environment, increase watering and washings of roads, waste collection to reduce pollution. With that spirit, on March 2, 2024, Hanoi's People's Committee issued Decision Number 1142 QD-UBND on approving the Air Quality Management Plan for Hanoi City until 2030, with a vision to 2035. One of the important goals of the plan is that by 2030, Hanoi will successfully minimize air pollution and ensure that air quality remains good and average. According to the AQI index, at least 75% of a year, decrease PM 2.5 emissions by about 20% compared to the base year, equivalent to a total reduction of 6,200 tons of PM 2.5. To achieve this goal, the plan sets out 4 key tasks. 1. Complete appropriate and practical mechanisms and policies on air quality management, enhance emission control, and promote sustainable production. 2. Simultaneously implement solutions to reduce emissions from main waste sources, including traffic, industrial activities, and other sources. The plan also addressed solutions to control emissions from traffic and open burning by relocation and supervision. Number 3, emergency response to severe air pollution, including solutions for providing information and building an air pollution early warning system for citizens to take timely response measures in time of critical air pollution. 4. Enhance the participation of all parties in air quality management through education, communication, and cooperation with government and business levels, community, and other related parties. The Air Quality Management Plan for Hanoi City until 2030, with a vision to 2035, is a great effort of the city to improve the living environment for its people. Hanoi City wishes to connect, cooperate, and act with cities in the regions from now to build a more sustainable and healthy Asia for the present and future generations. Thank you for listening, and we wish the conference a great success.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gwen. It once a year and over 6 or 7 years for the joint research project with the Vietnam and Japan. But the city is, continue to bigger and bigger. I think it's tackling the air pollution and other environmental issues is quite a big challenges. Thank you very much indeed for your presentation. I come back to you later. So now I'd like to invite the Deputy Mayor in charge of Environment and Ecological Transition, Madam of Montreal, and Madame Marie-André Moget. Would you please start your presentation? Vous avez la parole.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you're not too tired. We're getting at the end of the day. It's a pleasure to be here and to present you the city of Montreal, which is located on an island of 500 square kilometers. There's a population of a little bit 2.2 million, and it's the second largest city in Canada. And you might know Montreal for its cold winter and also for its very famous pedestrian underground network of 32 kilometers, but I have to tell you that we don't live underground during winter time. One of our priorities in Montreal is to root nature in the city, and we apply nature-based solutions to increase our resilience to climate change. And during the past decades, we analyzed the main climatic hazard that we face, and there's 6 of them. We face the heat waves, the heavy rainfalls, destructive storms, and higher average temperature, as well as drought and river floods, especially during the springtime. And you know, the population and the infrastructures are exposed in a different way to the impact of the climatic hazard. And for instance, we see the impact of heat waves that affect the most vulnerable people. I have to switch this. Okay. So in 2020, we adopted our first climate action plan, and it's a 10-year action plan for a greener, more resilient, and more inclusive city. We aim to reduce, of course, our CO2 emission, increase our resilience and capacity to adapt. As many cities, we want to become carbon neutral by 2050. And we want also to experience a non-significant vulnerability to climate change. So we have 46 actions. For instance, we really target actions where we can hit more than 2 birds with 1 stone. So we want to lower our CO2 emission while increasing our adaptation and having the mobilization of the community. So we want, for instance, to restore 50 kilometers of public riverbanks, develop our urban agriculture, ban pesticide. We've already banned pesticide, and we will also tighten our regulation to golf courses. And another example of action is to develop our circular economy, which is about respecting the ecological limits of the planet. We have 8 indicators just to make sure that we keep the pace and we're on track with the objective of our climate plan. So we know so far that the CO2 emissions, we have reduced them by 26% below the level of 1990. But very humbly, it's not enough to reach our target of reducing of 55% by 2030. We see also that the consumption of fossil fuel is still in a small increase, but the mobile share of automobile is now going down a little bit, so we have good news with this. I want to talk to you about the adaptation and resilience indicator. We want by 2030 to plant 500,000 trees. And we want to focus in the vulnerable areas so that we increase the resilience during the heat wave. And right now we have planted more than 180 trees, so we're on our way to reach this goal. And we want to also protect 10% of our territories. So it's beyond our park because there are already 25% of tree cover, and we have many city parks. But we really want to protect the wetlands, the forest, and the net water environment up to 10%. And right now we're close to 8%, so it's really challenging. And we also follow the status of our 6 climate hazard. And as we know, Montreal is very engaged into biodiversity with COP15. So we invest every year at least 10 to 15% of our capital expenditure program for protecting, for green infrastructure, and at least the same amount for the waterworks and sewage system. And the last thing I want to tell you is that we're in the process of updating our climate action plan to make sure that we improve, clarify or add action to ensure the achievement of our 2030 objectives. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup pour Madame Bourget. I think it's, I was very much impressed by the very ambitious climate target, net zero by 2050, and also the reduction target of 2030 as reducing emission, at least the 55%. And but in addition to that, I think adaptation and resilience indicators to monitor the progress of adaptation, and that will be very much interesting, especially it is the adaptation of the nature-based. So with that, I'd like to invite the third panelist, Governor of the Northern Mariana Island, and Governor Mr. Arnold Palacios, if I pronounce correctly. So please, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hafade, Tiro, Kunswa. First, I wish to thank you for this honor. I'm privileged to be invited by Honorable Governor Koike to speak among distinguished international leaders about the urgent importance of protecting our natural resources. I know this time is limited, so I will try to highlight in a short amount of time our successive and challenges in sustainabilities among islanders. In the Northern Marianas, we are experiencing a resurgence in our understanding that we are part of a unique island ecosystem. And to survive and to thrive, we have to live in harmony with our environment. Many of our citizens have gone abroad to bigger places for education and work. And we brought back technology, new ways of doing things, and different mindsets. But recent events, such as natural disasters like typhoons, super typhoons, and the pandemic, has shown us our vulnerabilities. The climate crisis adds greater urgency. We cannot survive if we don't adapt. And we have to look back. We have to look back at our history. We realize now that we need balance. We want and need technology and science to solve modern problems and improve our lives. But we still need our indigenous traditions and wisdoms that have sustained us for generations in our islands. The values and mindset we learned from our elders are essential to our survival. They have always been. And in the Marianas, sustainability is not only rooted in science, but also in the island wisdom and tradition. In January of this year, the Northern Marianas College and I launched a Green Growth Initiative, a central piece of this initiative is reawakening our consciousness of the people, to go back to our roots and to embrace once again the past practices of our ancestors and that were sustainable, green, and regenerative. A key part is the advancement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which we have been working on as a community these past few months. Our local college has also initiated a new regenerative agroforestry program in the CNMI, and the principles and method that they are teaching are really at the heart of centuries-old indigenous Pacific Islands wisdom. We have to look at science too for guidance. We just completed our first greenhouse gas inventory with the help of the U.S. National Renewable Energy Lab. Because we are so dependent on fossil fuels for everything we do today, our small islands produce more than 440 metric tons in greenhouse gas emissions. We are surrounded, and we keep reminding ourselves that we are surrounded by the sun, by the abundance of water, wind, and other natural resources, and renewable sources of energy. So it only makes sense that we take advantage of what Mother Nature has to offer. Last month, I signed a climate agreement with Blue Planet Alliance, joining the CNMI with Guam, Palau, and other island communities in committing to 100% renewable energy. And we know it won't be an easy transition, but it is necessary and possible if we all work together and help each other. That's obviously, and that is the island way. And if there's any advice that this governor from a small island 3 hours from Japan can offer, it is to keep it as simple as possible. And when you're trying to explain to people why it's important to protect our land, air, and oceans. It is important to share science and best practice in ways that people can understand. It's also important to make sure that we are regenerating not just our environment, but also our mindsets and our connections to each other and to our past. At the end of the day, we all need to do both. Jesus Masi, Giliso, thank you, and domo arigato.
Thank you very much, Governor Mr. Palacio. We all know that the island states, in the front line of the tackling the climate change impact, and I understand that you do a lot of things, and starting with this 100 renewable energy by 2040 with the other islandese governors. So I'd like to come back that what your expectation to further collaboration in the panel. Thank you very much for your presentation. So the fourth presentator panelist, the last not least, and I'd like to invite a general manager of Rome, Mr. Paul Aielli, if I pronounce correctly. I'm not good at the pronouncing Italian, but I'd like to invite then Paolo to do presentation, introducing the Roman, initiative, please.
Thank you very much to the Tokyo government for this very great opportunity and for its perfect organization. Environment protection is one of the most important pillars of next generation Rome, which is an investment program, essentially of 15 billion euro for the next 3 years, through which the city of Rome will be reinvented in the full respect of our cultural heritage. The main investment in terms of environment protection are industrial plants to manage mixed and recycled waste, public buildings, energy requalification, new underground, and I think that you can imagine how it's difficult to dig in Rome, tramways and bicycle lanes. But last but not least, the new generation TLC network Rome 5G Wi-Fi 6. Why? I will try to focus specifically on this project because it could sound a little bit extravagant that a municipality, a local government, takes the responsibility of conceiving and implementing such a network. But the reason why we have decided to do that, let's say it's very simple. I think that everyone is agreed that smart cities applications are essentially based on data analysis, and data basically needs sensors. These sensors produce a huge amount of data. That have to be dealt in real time. In order to do that, and not just in specific areas of the city, but for the entire area, we need to have telecommunication network of new generation. That means telecommunication network that are essentially based on some very simple principle: very wide broadband, high speed, latency. Without this kind of feature, it doesn't make any sense to to talk about this kind of application. That's why we have decided to promote through a partnership, a public and private partnership, such an important investment. I put here some of the features of this, and I'd like to draw your attention on a couple of issues. First of all, neutral host. Why this kind of network is neutral host? Because it can host everyone, can host public services, can host private services, and also even the critical communication. This is a key point because we are applying, simply from a technical point of view, the so-called slicing system that guarantees separation, but at the same time, if you need a combination of data. The other point is to combine the existing network that we use also as a consumer with a new network based on 5G underlay system, and then to guarantee the Wi-Fi in a seamless mode in order to allow all the people, once that they are connected, to go to remain connected and to use it in every place of the city. You have here a very high-level architectures, and so I hope it's clear that we are going to cover the surface and the underground part of the city using, this is very, very important, using the facilities of the city, like light poles, galleries, station, and so on. Another very important point is that we have done a very deep analysis in terms of coverage, trying to identify the whole of the telecommunication existing network. Let me say that this kind of network has a very low consumption in terms of energy, a very low electromagnetic emission that makes it absolutely coherent with the sustainability approach. And let me, considering that I have only 30 seconds, let me focus on how we are going to manage it. And this is the general architecture of the control room, where all the data will be gathered. This is absolutely important because it seems to be a complex scheme, but actually it's not. You have to conceive it as a sort of umbrella, and the name of the game is to guarantee in an effective way the interconnection between the different subsystems. So you have to manage the different subsystems in order to manage the alerts and all the measure, the countermeasure you have to take just in some cases. But at the same time, you have the chance to share the critical information also with other institutions. So you can imagine, how it's important, in particular in some contexts, to share with the civil protection, with the environment agency, all the application, all the activities also the municipality is in charge of.
Thank you, Paolo, if I called you. I think for me, it's really first time to see such a comprehensive smart city building through the digitalization. I think I come back definitely to you, some question about this point. So now we had 4 wonderful, excellent presentations. And then I'd like to turn to the round with the panelists. I'd like to pose a couple of questions to each panelist to deepen the substance of initiative, and also maybe the challenge faced and the message to the floor and the audience. So now I'd like to start. Then again, Mr. Gwen. I think that the Hanoi city, do undertake a very ambitious, measure to tackle air pollution. As I say that, Hanoi city is, getting larger and larger, and collecting many people surrounding the city. And maybe another problem with the city may be waste management, waste disposal. What is your plan or the initiative and the measure to, do the sustainable waste management and disposal? If you could explain to the audience, that would be grateful.
Vâng, cảm ơn bà và các quý vị đại biểu. Đối với thủ đô Hà Nội thì hiện nay
Thank you, Ms. Takamura, for your question.
9 triệu người.
With the current situation of Hanoi City, with the population of 9 million people, we are dealing with the amount of we are dealing with the amount of 7,500 tons a day when it comes to garbage disposal. We have been trying our best to burn approximately 5,500 tons of garbage per day. And right now, we are under a plan of building a processor plant to burn more garbage in June 2024. At the moment, the rest of 2,000 tons of garbage a day is being built, is being buried. but we thrive for the new plant where the rest of the garbage can be burned electrically so that there won't be any emissions. And that is our plan. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you very much. I think it's a common challenge, especially with the city, increasing number of the population, and then they how to then manage enhance the circular economy or the waste, sound waste management. Thank you very much for your comment. Thank you. So now I turn to the Madam Moje. I really impressed by the adaptation, especially nature-based adaptation, strengthening resilience, facing the climate change. And also, you emphasize the importance of circular economy to tackle climate change and the environmental protection. Maybe could you please elaborate this point, because somehow you suggested the interlinkage or synergy between the climate change and also the circular economy, and vice versa. So, floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. According to the United Nations, our traditional economy as we know it, to extract natural resources or raw material, transform, consume, and throw it away. And today, many of us have spoken about the waste management and the challenge of our waste material. So according to the United Nations, 90% of the biodiversity loss and the stress on our water resource is directly linked to the way we live and our economy, and 50% of our CO2 emissions as well. So when we talk about circular economy, it could be the #1 response to fighting the climate crisis by reducing the way that we consume raw material, so that we could have more natural environment protected instead of always going to dig and cut more trees or have more material use. So the City of Montreal have engaged with the roadmap for circular economy, because we calculate we're the second city to have our circularity index, and we know that right now only 3% of our local economy is into circular economy. And if we reach 7%, we could reduce by 56% our CO2 emission and 38% of all the raw material that we use. So right now our challenge is to stimulate this sector of our economy, mainly in the biofood sector, construction, the plastics, the textile, and some of the logistics, so that by 2050, our vision is to reach 17% of circularity, because the NGO Circular Economy has calculated that if globally we reach 17% of circular economy, we could limit the increase of temperature at 2 degrees. So we could avoid the climate crisis just by, if all of us reach the 17% of circular economy.
Thank you. Thank you very much for wonderful comment. Actually, that is very much important topic that's discussed in the context of the United Nations Environment Assembly as well. I think that now we have to really look at the interlinkage, as you suggested, the impact of circular economy on the climate mitigation, and also consider the impact of the resource exploitation and the production and consumption on nature. Thank you very much. So now I turn to the the Palacios. Excuse me. So as you suggested that the island states including of course, the Northern Mariana Island, facing the climate change impact. And you are in the front line of this, you said that tackling climate change for survival. It's not only for the climate system, but also, as you suggested, that protecting the nature and the human life and the tradition. What I like to ask you, you have a city colleague here together with you, and do you expect what kind of collaboration to tackle and climate change to protect your land and tradition so if you could send a message to your colleague.
First of all, let me just start by saying, islands are small islands are the most vulnerable communities to climate change. We are at the front line of the consequences of the changing of climates, whether it's rising tides or oceans, frequent super typhoons, more intense storms to small communities around oceans. We're surrounded by oceans, so we're very, very vulnerable. The Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is not an atoll. It's just volcanic islands. So we're a little bit elevated, whereas some of our neighbors in Micronesia are so vulnerable because they are atolls, and their elevations are, 10 feet above sea level. So, but to us, it's not just policy. We're not talking about policies or programs in government. We're talking about survival. And I am very appreciative that I came to this conference and I learned that a lot of the startups and a lot of companies doing research in high technologies have done a lot of research to develop technologies and ways to mitigate some climate change impacts. So I just want to say simply and humbly, in the most humble way, that as an islander and not from a metropolitan city, we simply experienced this firsthand. We see our lands eroding into the ocean. We see islands being inundated with the oceans already. So some of these islands are going to be submerged in 10 years. So we are at the forefront. And how do we deal with that? Island nations and islands don't really have the technology and the know-how that major cities and major countries have. And so we look to our neighbors, the bigger nations, to assist. I know that many leaders from Micronesia and the Pacific Islands have gone to the United Nations on some of these climate change forums and have pleaded for the bigger nations and for the United Nations to take a look at these issues closer to us. And I'm very glad that many cities like Montreal and Rome are also doing their part to address the issues at their front door. This is survival, some of the island nations. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. I'm very touched by your comment. Of course, this city leader program is, the forum for the enhancing the collaboration between cities. But I think with a sense of solidarity, we could more enhance the further collaboration to tackle climate change and to protect the nature protection. Thank you very much. And so, the last not least, I'd like to turn to the Paulo. As I mentioned, that it's really impressed by such a comprehensive smart city planning and also enhancing the resilience of the city through the digitalization. I have a question one question is that what is the reaction from the local population in the habitant in Roma? And the second is such kind of comprehensive smart city planning need some kind of cross-sectoral collaboration in the administration. How such kind of collaboration was realized and what is the key element for success?
So, okay, I'll try. Point one, the attitude of the people is very, very positive because we are offering directly to the citizens of Rome and to the tourists, to the commuters, the chance to be always connected wherever they are. So it means that we will, before I use a term that maybe is a little bit strange, seamless. So it means that we don't need every time when you are at home, when you are in office, when you are on the underground, when you are in the squares, to change your connection with the Wi-Fi system. This is for, for the citizens. So the attitude, we have already started from the central square of Rome, Piazza del Campidoglio, where the municipality is. We have already implemented this kind of system, and progressively we are covering the city. The second point is crucial because these systems and all the meaningful applications for the smart city absolutely need a very strong cooperation among the institutions, first of all. But it's not enough, because in many cases what is absolutely needed is also cooperation with the private sector. That's why we promote this investment through a PPP scheme, and then we are sharing the implementation plan also with the private company. Let me add a detail. At the very beginning, they were a little bit skeptical because, it's bizarre that the public administration is pushing the private investor, that usually is his aim, to go forward. But the MNOs, the mobile network operators, are very keen on consumers and don't pay enough attention to the application, to the smart city application. Obviously, because you don't gain a lot of money. So, my conclusion is to give you another piece of information for the use of this kind of network for the OPEX. The private sector will be paid. It will be completely free for public institutions.
Very interesting comment. Thank you very much. I really, find that especially, yes, I remember that you emphasized the public-private partnership, PPP, to realize this digitalization. And of course, this involvement and the participation in the private sector to the initiative that promoted by the cities. That is, I think, one of the key points that we could take up here, highlight. So, excuse me to say that the time is almost running out, and I'm not again in a position to collect every point that raised here. I think the many things is very much insightful and suggestive for the further initiative. But if I could say some point, is that together with the Mr. Gwen and also the Madam Mogi, Moje, excuse me, Moje, we could now consider some kind of interlinkage, the synergy between the climate change and the circular economy and the nature protection, nature positive, if the term is, this term is very much getting familiar with the Kunming-Montreal program to the biodiversity protection. So this linkage could be integrated into the policy. I think that we could have now the very good example from these cities. And the second point, especially Mr. Palacio mentioned that how to collaborate, enhance the collaboration between cities, especially together with the vulnerable cities, assisting how to assist them and how to enhance the collaboration. We need maybe such kind of initiative from this forum. This forum is, I think, the first step to enhance such collaboration, but to through the know each other's situation and initiative. Last not least, and connectivities is I think another word that I could highlight, because why we enhance the nature protection. Of course, it is to protect the nature and the environment, but that leads to the protect our health and enhance the strength in our society's resilience. And maybe the city's objective to how to enhance the city to, improve the well-being of the people. I think this connectivity is a connection with the people. How to make it is also not only for the protection of the environment, but also that is an essential initiative to enhance the well-being of the people living in the city. So with that, I'd like to close the session, and to do so, please join me to give a big applause to all panelists who actually, they presented the wonderful initiative and providing, excellent comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the speakers. Now we would like to take a commemorative photo with all the members, so please step forward and gather in the center of the stage, please.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Maybe come to this way, right? Yeah. This is the center. Okay. Yes.
Okay, look at camera, please. Yes. Okay, smile. More big smile, please. Yes. Next.
Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much. That concludes our photo shooting. Please give a round of applause to everyone who took the stage. Thank you very much.